Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And there are calls for the Greens to ditch Geoffrey and the Imp as co-leaders and choose someone new. Someone who isn't a complete fool, someone who isn't divisive, and someone who is not alienating everyone with every stupid policy they have. Now, you'd expect this to come from the opposition, like Labour or the Tories, or even possibly some of the backbenchers in the SNP. But this call comes from Robin Harper. Now, who he, I hear some of you ask. Some of you will know. But for those who don't know, he used to be the leader of the Greens. And in fact, he quit the party entirely back in April this year, saying it's gone off in an extremist direction and he doesn't want to align himself with such madness. But when you have someone who used to be the leader of the party saying the current leadership is, well, basically ineffective, dangerous and stupid, people need to listen. And those people are in the Green Party. They need to listen. They need to ditch a moron and a dangerous Marxist. Let's have a look at the story and see which of the two is which, although I think we can guess. Here goes. So, vive la révolution! Scottish Green members urged to rise up and ditch the Imp and Geoffrey. Both of them need to go. Both of them are useless. One is just inefficient, stupid, ignorant and expensive. The other one is dangerous, Marxist and a hater of all things good. Robin Harper, who quit the party in April this year, saying it had lost the plot, wants an upwelling among the ranks to get rid of the Scottish Government ministers. There's many in Holyrood who feel the same. Most of them on the opposition, some of them backbenchers in the SNP who are thinking that these two are damaging them in every possible way. The one on the left, Geoffrey, she is just stupid, inefficient, cancels, breaks everything she's ever touched, hasn't got a clue what she's talking about. He on the right, dangerous and hate-filled, a lonely individual, never known joy in his life and wants to spread the misery and poverty to all around him. And we have another story about him and his plans later on. But it's not the end of him, but unfortunately it needs to be, but unfortunately it isn't. Anyway, Scottish Green members have been urged to channel their revolutionary spirit and ditch co-leaders Patrick Harvie and Lorna Slater. The party's former leader, Robin Harper, has called for an upwelling of party members to remove the pair. And why not? I mean, they're not very good at what they do. I mean, ultimately, it's the members who decide, but, well, it's not much of a choice, though, is it? Mr. Harper has emerged of a fierce critic of the direction the party is taking and ripped up his membership earlier this year in a disagreement with its stance on trans rights, accusing the party. The Scottish Greens have been steadfast in their support in the Gender Recognition Reform Bill, the controversial legislation that would make it easier for mentally ill transgender men to obtain a gender recognition certificate and gain access to where young girls will change. The bill was blocked by the UK government in January after being passed by Holyrood, with the court session currently considering an appeal. The result of that is due very soon, and it is likely to come down as being rejected, in which case they do have the option, of course, of going to the Supreme Court. And why not? Well, probably because the optics would look terrible. They're not likely to win at the Supreme Court either, having wanked away about $1 million on a case they're going to lose that most in the party don't actually agree with. I don't think they will. They'll just give up. And that, of course, will be the end of it. And hopefully the end of the Butte House Agreement. With luck. Anyway, in an interview with Holyrood magazine, the party's first ever MSP said there was a ruling cabal in the Scottish Greens. Mr. Harper said about half of the MSPs form it. And we all know who they are, especially Gross Rea. They don't listen, they don't want to listen to reason to the rest of the party where there are differences of opinion, he said. There needs to be an upwelling amongst the members to replace the present leadership because they've got themselves in this position. They want to keep their little hands, their grubby little protuberances on the levers of power and cause misery and mayhem wherever they go. The former leader also announced he had launched the Scottish Green Women's Declaration for Sex-Based Rights, despite having left the party. The declaration says sex is a biological reality, which of course it is, got to agree with him there. Well done. One of the few things you can agree with Robin Harper on. And it should not be confused with gender. It adds that women and girls are subjected to discrimination and oppression on the basis of their sex, as well as advocating for the protection of single-sex spaces in law and stressing that women and girls have the right to discuss policies which affect them without being abused, harassed or intimidated. And again, I agree with him. And I think 99% of my viewers will, 99% of the people out there in the world will, because it is the sensible and right and moral thing to do. The declaration also says we know that globally women as a sex are disproportionately affected by climate change and environmental degradation. Now he's moving into the areas where he's got no possible knowledge. He says that their empowerment is essential to our work as environmentalists. Provide proof of that, because I don't think there is any. I think it's just you forming an opinion. Up to then you had me, now you've lost me, but I'll agree with everything prior to it. Not agreeing with that. Anyway, a spokesperson for the Scottish Greens said no such group is known or affiliated to the Scottish Greens. They're trying to distance themselves, of course, because they want to retain power. They don't want the people in the membership, the ground membership on the ground, to treat Robin Harper with anything other than disrespect and contempt, because he dared to leave them over the stance by Geoffrey and the Imp. Mr Harper won a seat at Holyrood in the 1999 election, representing the Lothian region. He resigned his Life membership in April, saying the party had lost the plot, while also criticising the party's focus on breaking up the UK, not their job. He said, "What I'm most worried about is this support for independence, and we've had this sterile debate that's been going on for about 30 years as to whether Scotland should be independent or not. We've got nowhere with it. And indeed, having given up the fact that it's not going anywhere, how about putting it to bed, leaving it alone, getting on and doing the important things of government, instead of wasting time, effort, money and people's sheer willingness to live listening to the crap that pours daily out of Holyrood and out of these politicians, not least of which, of course, are the Greens. They're full of it." Anyway, we'll have that there. I'll finish this, we'll round off and come up. But it goes to show that, you know, even the guy, the first MSP, there he is, even he's saying that these two are absolute lunatics who need to go and let the party, you know, basically have a leadership that represents the members rather than a tiny little cabal at the top, cosseted with, you know, the wealth of public expense, looking after them, paying them a great wage, paying for their travel, paying for them to hire little yachts to take them across onto various islands, that sort of thing. Absolutely out of touch in their little ivory towers. Not that they'll have anything to do with ivory. They're little tofu towers. Anyway, there we go. Come up. Soon, we hope, sanity will set in and the two of them will be sent on their way off to go and do whatever they're really good at. For Harvey, it's sitting in somebody's garden holding a fishing rod. And for Geoffrey, it's flying through the air at the end of a rope, because that's what she does. No, seriously, she's an aerialist. So there we go. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've liked that. I do hope it's worth a subscribe. And I do hope you'll tune in later to see the next of the Harvey videos. We've got one coming up. It's not a good one again. It's typical Harvey bullshit. But we'll have a look at that. Anyway, until then, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Goodbye.